music is the most kind of mystical of all the art forms, to be honest. What's my reasoning for that? Let's just say it's instrumental music. Like, why can a bunch of frequencies played at a certain rhythm, you know, um, why can that affect you so deeply? Like, it's definitely something deeper. Like the written word, can hit you over the head. This is how I feel. This is how I want you to feel. Same with a movie, and I love them. I love movies, but yeah, like when you listen to instrumental music and people can have a shared reaction to it, even across cultures, um, that's fascinating. Like what is going on there?
I'm talking with Mikey Maguire, musician, audio engineer, teacher, entrepreneur, amongst other things, and the curator for Cool Street, an intimate, gorgeous music venue in Ardfert, County Kerry, Ireland. Good on Kneecap and Fontaine's DC. They're both Irish bands. And over the weekend, they were speaking about the evils of Israel. Roger Waters has been talking about the silencing of the Palestinian plight for years. In my second episode, you'll see I talked to a dear friend of mine, Milana. She's from the Ukraine. She talks about the first casualty of war as truth. So let's not be blinded, everyone. The truth is 43,000 plus Palestinians have been killed, and 60 to 70% of them are innocent women and children. That's the truth. I was talking to Mikey as I was putting this podcast together. He said there are a significant amount of people in Ireland who sympathize with the Palestinian cause because it is seen as having many similarities with the history of the Irish fight for freedom and independence. With that said, I hope you enjoy our conversation as much as I did. I just love the Irish accent. It's earthy and it's unpretentious. Mikey and I talk about his family history. We talk about Gaelic sports, nature, cold plunges, self control, persistence, the power of music, being authentic, the music industry and social media, and mushrooms. Enjoy the vibrations. Thank you. Mikey Maguire. Hello, sir. How are you today?
I'm very good. I'm very good. The sun is unseasonably shiny in Ireland the last couple of weeks, so that has definitely affected my mood in a positive way, I would say. Where are you located now?
Yeah, I'm not in New York anymore. I'm in Richmond,
Right,
Virginia.
okay. Virginia, okay, not too far away.
No, you can take the train up. You're in County Kerry.
County
Tell us
Kerry.
a bit of history about where you live in Ardent. Am I saying that correctly?
Ardfert.
Oh, the
Yeah,
accent. Say it again.
Ardfert. Yes, Ardfert. Yeah, I was going to say my accent now. So the accent down here is very strong, as you've noticed, but we also speak Hiberno English. So our sentence structure is a little bit maybe backwards to the Queen's English. Um, but in order for me to be at my most authentic, I think I have to speak that way. So absolutely stop me if it doesn't make sense or you need me to repeat anything. I will not take any offense.
Oh, please. The American listeners are gonna love that accent.
Really?
Yes.
But yeah, so Kerry, yeah, Kerry is in terms of topography and stuff, it's very beautiful. It's the west coast is all by the Atlantic coast and it's wild. Next stop America from here, that's where we are. But um, lots of mountains, lots of beaches, wild seas, cliffs, that kind of thing. It's a if you like the outdoors, it's a great place to be.
Yeah, I've perused your Instagram, especially the sea shots. Oh, it
Yes.
just looks so tranquil and peaceful.
Yeah, that's about 2 miles from where I am right now in my house, and I just went for an hour's walk there before the pod, and it was beautiful. That's one of my routines, I guess, for checking in with myself. It's great for that.
Yeah. Nature.
Nature, yeah, big time. Like when I was young, when I was whatever, 16 to 21 or whatever, I just wanted to be London, New York, San Francisco, a big city, that kind of thing where it's all happening. Um, but at about 22 or so, I think I realized no, everything I have is here, or everything I want is here. So yeah, you wouldn't get me to be in a city now for like all the money in the world, to be honest.
Tell us a little bit about where you live and the history involving your great
Yeah,
grandfather.
so yeah, Ardfert and County Kerry like all of County Kerry really featured heavily in the Irish War of Independence, um, which was kind of which was what 1916-ish to 1922-ish. Um, yeah, and there was a movement in Ireland to get independence from Britain. We were part of the United Kingdom at the time, but there was a movement to move away from that, and this area would have seen a lot of action in the. It was kind of a guerrilla warfare, basically. Um, so yeah, it would have been they would have attacked the local police and things like that, and then the British government sent over the what were known as the Black and Tans, which were basically former World War One soldiers who were sent over to kind of get a handle on the situation and fight back and whatever. So yeah, that was kind of it was a terror war basically is what it was on both sides. Um, so yeah, my great grandfather he would have not been actually a member of the IRA at that time, but he was have been a sympathizer, I guess, and he supplied paraffin oil for an attack on a police station, and the Black and Tans abducted him, took him away from his family, and tortured him and murdered him. So yeah, there like people talk about intergenerational trauma or whatever, but that stuff is very much you can't escape it around here. It's like there's literally bullet holes in some of the buildings and stuff in the village from when the Black and Tans would have come in and just kind of opened fire on the village indiscriminately, stuff like that. So yeah, that all shapes you. It all shapes your thinking and your values and stuff like that.
Whoa. Yeah, that. Oh, I'm speechless.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you can walk by those bullet holes every day. That is just,
Hmm.
that's a
Yeah,
constant reminder.
yeah. No, it is. It is. Ireland is a lot different now, obviously, but there's not like some like hatred towards the English, although the English ruling and political classes definitely would be viewed with a skepticism anyway, a fair dose of it.
My mum's Welsh. I feel like the Welsh, they've got some ill feelings with the English as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're we're right bastards. We are.
Yeah.
Do you do cold plunges in the Atlantic?
Yes, I do. It began, I think maybe just the year before COVID kind of kicked in. I started doing it myself and Marion, my partner, started doing it. First during the summer, just get in during the summer. It's still quite cold, but you'd last in there for a good while. Um, but the whole kind of sauna thing has taken off. The outdoor sauna thing has taken off here in a big way recently. So yeah, well, it's like weekly now, all throughout the year we go for our sauna and our cold dips at the same time. So you go into the sauna for like 12, 15 minutes. It's an hour session, we'll say. And every 12 to 15 minutes go in for your cold dip, which, the water in Ireland can be down as low as 6 degrees Celsius. Um, and it's great. It's brilliant. Love it. Will never stop doing that as long as I can.
Invigorating.
Yeah, absolutely. The relaxation afterwards, I never found anything before that kind of resets I guess it's your nervous system. I don't know. It could be placebo. I don't know, but it works for me.
Does your mind quiet?
completely, and your whole body kind of quietens, you don't want to like the minute you put your clothes on afterwards, there's this sensation. Your breathing, your heart rate is like lower, your breathing is more regular and soft, and you don't want to do anything afterwards that would spoil that feeling. So like you'd end up avoiding social media and media for the whole day, because it's like no, nothing now is allowed in to spoil this.
Yeah, as I'm getting older, I'm definitely looking for healthier ways to silence my mind. My husband and I have been looking into those cold plunges you can put out in the back garden.
Yeah, it's not as cold as those cold plunges you're talking about. Like they're like in every gym in Ireland now at this stage, and people use them, and I'm sure they're great. I haven't done one. But yeah, I think there's additional benefits to going into the sea as well. There's minerals and things like that. And there's also the fact that you are out in nature, and you're in the Atlantic Ocean, and you think about how maybe small and insignificant you are in, in that pool. Um, the act of doing it is so kind of grounding and puts you so much in the present moment. Like you're nowhere else when you're getting into the Atlantic Ocean in the winter. You're nowhere else. You're there right now. You're putting one foot after the other, and you're concentrating on keeping your breathing calm and um, your heart rate down and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's brilliant.
Mother Nature, baby, you cannot replace Mother Nature. Sounds amazing. Besides from the therapeutic stuff you're into, you're really into Gaelic sports, right?
I've always been into sports. My youth was completely dominated by sports. So in Ireland, we have an amateur Gaelic Athletic Association, which every village, town, townland has a GAA club. And there's two kind of core sports there. There's hurling, which is it's a ball and stick field sport, which is kind of not unlike hockey. It's kind of like field hockey, but you're allowed to catch the ball and carry the ball. You're allowed run with the ball on the stick, sort of like a cross maybe. Um, and that is probably the best field game in the world, in my view. If
What's
you
it
play
called?
hurling, HU,
Hurling. Oh, I thought you have to lob something in
no,
hurling.
you hit it with a stick.
Oh, right.
Yeah, yeah. You throw up the ball and hit it out of the air, kind of like baseball or whatever. Um, yeah, and you've got two goals at either end, and yeah, it's ancient. It's really old. It's really
Yeah.
old.
What's the
Um,
ball look like?
the ball is kind of like a baseball, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, similar, very similar to it. Yeah.
Are you wearing a helmet when you play this?
Nowadays, you have to wear a helmet. Yeah, yeah. When I was younger, you didn't have to wear one, but now everyone at every level has to wear a helmet and a face guard, kind of like again, like an ice hockey sort of helmet, I guess. Yeah, yeah. The great thing about that is that it's completely amateur. So, but when you get to the highest level, so the counties in Ireland, there's 32 counties, and they all play each other for the All Ireland Championship. So like the final of that is in a stadium in Dublin, which the amateur organization owns. It's an 82,000 seater arena called Croke Park. And yeah, trying to get a ticket for that is like
Yeah.
it's
Like the World
gold.
Cup.
Yeah, yeah. But the standard of those players at that level is phenomenal. Like they're in the physical shape of pro athletes, and they all have day jobs, 9 to 5s. They're teachers, policemen, whatever. I get an awful lot from watching that. Because of the fact that it's like grassroots. It starts at grassroots. These guys playing at the top level still play for their local clubs too. It starts there, and it's this community thing. So there's also Gaelic football, which is essentially soccer where you can hold the ball and carry the ball. Um,
What?
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, both sports are 15 aside, okay? You have a goalkeeper, kind of like in soccer. And then you've got your defenders and your forward, your attackers and stuff like that. They're brilliant. Like I think Ireland is quite unique in that sense that we have that. amateur sports ethos and the role that it provides. You know, it's not like professional sports where you don't play for another county. Like you play for the county where you were born and you live. Yeah, sometimes some people move because of work or whatever, and they might end up playing with another county, but generally they're people from, like, overwhelmingly they're people from the county. Nobody's getting paid, and they're all doing it for the love and the competition. And
I love that. I remember when I was younger, I think a lot of rugby players, like you said, had second jobs. It wasn't.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Rugby only turned professional, like, in the UK, in Ireland. I'd say probably around 2000, maybe. Yeah, like the standard of rugby though, since it went professional, has gone kind of crazy. It's like the fitness levels and the body shapes and all this kind of stuff has just changed, and the skill set is dramatic. You know, obviously, if you're spending all day doing something, you're going to improve rather than working a day job and trying to do the gym and training before and after work, you know?
Okay, let's change it up. Tell us about the events that dramatically changed your life when you were a teenager.
So when I was 18, I was still in high school, secondary school we call it here, but it's the equivalent of your high school in America. Um, I found out I was going to become a dad.
Wow.
Yes. So, yeah, as you can imagine, at the time, that was absolutely terrifying to me. Yeah, so many thoughts, so many fears. You know, it's something natural that happens, but you know, you kind of you don't really want it happening while you're still in school, figured out yourself yet. You haven't figured out your career path. You haven't had time to realize what, you know, values you kind of um prescribed to or whatever, you know. The duration of the pregnancy that time was like just full of anxiety, fear. Um, I think I think as well, you know, a lot of that came from, like, I knew my obligations as a father, about that I was about to become a father, and I knew what that would involve. Um, so I wasn't. You know, the fear came from being fully aware of what was about to come and what was expected of me, do you know? But yeah, as soon as my daughter was born, then I think, I don't know, I think I kind of I took to the role that was expected of me, or I thought was expected of me. Um, Even though I wasn't with her mom, we weren't in a relationship or whatever, you know, not certainly not a stable relationship anyway. It kind of dominated everything after that. So I had to build my life around that at that point. So there was no, you know, oh, I'm going to go to Australia for a year, like, or a couple of years, like most people my age, or even going to college. It was like, oh, I can't go away to college. I have to do it locally, so I'm here and able to do what I need to do. Yeah, I definitely developed anxiety at that time, not knowing what it was. Do you know what I mean? Not knowing, like, not knowing at all what anxiety is. Do you know, this is 2004. We weren't talking about mental health then. So yeah, I kind of realized that later. But that left its mark. Neural pathways forming in your brain that kind of, you know, the fight or flight is kicking in all the time. But I can look back on it now and kind of be sort of grateful that it kind of set up these parameters within which my life would take place. Because I don't know, although I'd be quite a liberal person, I believe you can be too free, that you can have too many options. Yeah, it's good to have kind of grounding pillars that, you know, no matter how far you stray, will you still have this to kind of, you can't go beyond there, that type of thing. So, was not what I had planned, but I wouldn't change it at all. My daughter's 20 now, and she's in college. She's older now than I was when she was born, which is mad. Um, but yeah, she's off in college, and we've a great relationship. And
I'm sure, yeah, having a child really does anchor you and your priorities become so clear.
Well, that was definitely the case for me. That was definitely the case to me. Like everything that I kind of did afterwards was a response to my situation, do you know? I played music when I was young. I took up guitar at 15, which is quite old. Played in kind of covers bands locally and stuff. It was great fun doing like Nirvana and Thin Lizzy and stuff like that in the pubs and great fun. And then I joined like an already existing Irish ballad group. So I don't know if you know the Mary Wallopers over there or whatever, but it's kind of raucous Irish folk, not unlike the Pogues, I guess, without the drums. Yeah, so the Pogues would probably be the easiest kind of um comparative there, but yeah, this group already existed. Um, so they were professional, so they were playing a number of nights a week. And I joined them and I was with them for a year. And I remember kind of after a year going, okay, this is not the way I want to live my life, or I can't, it's not the best way for me to live my life, making money playing at weekends in bars and stuff like that, you know? Because that was ultimately most of the time I'd see my daughter and stuff like that, you know? So that was it. I was like, okay, music needs to kind of get parked and you need to go down a career path, get a steady job type of a thing. Um, so yeah, that influenced that being a dad absolutely influenced that, because otherwise I probably would have just kept going, and just whether I would have been happy doing it or not, I don't know. I don't think I would have, to be honest. It was time to focus on a career. I knew it would have to be music related, but there was no way you were getting me to do a 4-year degree in business studies or something like that. Like I just, I knew I had to be interested in what I was doing to get through it. But so I did music technology, um, with the view to like what I wanted to do was become like a recording engineer and a producer or something like that. But just when I was finishing up, like studying that, I was due to get a placement in a recording studio, um, that was here at the time, in my locality. It was owned by a guy, you've probably not heard of him now, but he's actually from the nearest town to me, and his name is Raymond. And he's very famous in Europe as like a
Mhm.
kind of a pop singer in the like later U2 music. You know the way that was like rock, but it was pop. Yeah, they were kind of making music like that, and he's huge
Yeah.
in Europe. Like he's was one of the judges on The Voice in Germany. Like just to give you an idea how big he was in it. So he had a studio here. Basically, when I was due to start the studio, he closed it down. He moved it over to Germany. Um, yeah, which was a bummer. Now that kind of coincided as well with the financial crisis and studios were closing and blah 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 blah. So it was probably again, I'm committed. I was committed to living here. So, expecting to get a job in a recording studio while living here was a bit of a reach. It was a bit of a fantasy, really.
Yeah.
It looked good for a while until it didn't look good. So so yeah, so then I kind of, after finishing college and stuff, the only real work you could get was sound engineering, live sound engineering, which I never wanted to do. Like I used to all
Why? Why not?
Why? Why? Because okay, having been in bands and stuff, and you're dealing with sound engineers. Sound engineers are famously cranky, not nice
Oh,
people.
yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, like it's like the cliche, the really cranky, sarcastic sound engineer, The reason that is, which I learned as having worked in the area, is that it's probably one of the most stressful jobs that you could ever do. It is so stressful. It's essentially a problem-solving role. So there's no hard science really to it. Um, it's a lot of intuition and a lot of yeah, as I said, just problem solving on the go. And it depending on what type of sound engineer you are. So if you are somebody who works in, you've a kind of a steady job in a venue, well, you know the equipment that's there, you know how it works, you know how it's laid out. But if you are doing the type of work that I did a lot of, you're going to a new venue to wherever the job is, wherever the gig is for that night, and you're walking into a new situation every single time. Sometimes there's no power sockets where you need them and things like that. And there's actually nowhere to set up the PA system, something like that. There's yeah, there's that. And then there's of course like that every band or whatever it is that you're doing bring their own another unique set of problems. So it's a unique set of problems every day.
Yeah, I'm glad you laid it out like that. That does sound quite stressful. And I mean, it's immediate. You need to solve all those problems like relatively quickly.
Absolutely. You need to, like, when something goes wrong, the whole audience or the band on stage is looking at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pressure's on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the pressure is on. So, if you're somebody like me who's kind of quite anxious by nature, it's not good. It's not a good job to have. Because you're never winning. You're always chasing your tail, it's a battle that you lose every time. That's what it feels like anyway. There's a very rare occasion where things go great and the band were happy with the sound you got for them and things like that. And it's all subjective then as well. Like a nice vocal sound for me might be totally different to some vocalist on stage or something. Um, but yeah, like I've done that now for 10 years. So some jobs, you enjoy. Some gigs are like, you're really delighted to be witnessing like me, if you're not music obsessive, do you know what I mean? You're delighted to see certain acts. Um, and even as a sound engineer around here, you can't just, you got to be able to hustle and do every job that's going.
So you started playing guitar, that was your instrument when you were 15. You say that's old to start.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah, it would be regarded as old. Yeah, it would. And I only got lessons once a week for about 3 months. And then I was doing some exams in school and I stopped and I never went back. And this was pre-YouTube, obviously, you know what I mean? And yeah, you could get tabs online that you could read and stuff like that. But I didn't get a proper education in it, especially foundational education. So that was always kind of this hang up as well. Oh, you never learned right. You never learned how to do it properly, kind of a
I
thing.
don't know if many guitarists like, isn't can't you be self-taught in it? That's your
You can.
signature style though, right?
You can. And it's something that I'm only realizing now.
You a bit of a perfectionist.
Yes. Yeah.
Ah.
Yes, with a very self-critical inner monologue, like seriously, yeah, yeah. But I'm working on that. Do you know, again, it's something that you don't realize. You think maybe everyone is like that.
Is that what really contributes to your anxiety?
Yes, 100%.
Was your mum or dad like that? Did you inherit this?
Again, yes, in hindsight, yes. Yeah, yeah. From both. They both have different types, I would say, of anxiety.
Yeah.
My dad's more social anxiety. My mom is more like worries about absolutely everything. So,
Like what to have for dinner.
well, yeah, like everything. It's funny, and I'm like sometimes even now, she'll ring me and tell me about something that's after happening in the, you know, local community or something. I don't know. And I might say, "Ma'am, how does this affect you?" She's taking on this worry for what's after happening. And anyway, we're working on it, all of us.
Hey, that's life. It's a life, we're learning about ourselves. It's a life skill, right?
Yeah, it is.
But I don't, everyone's just, we're trying.
Yeah, we are. We are. It's
Uh,
like it's honestly like when you become aware that, you could be managing your outlook on life a bit better. Um, it becomes if you give you know you decide you're going to pursue it and take action, um, it becomes something that you have to integrate into your everyday. Like you do see the results. Like, I would have had huge, like long periods of insomnia, like full blown insomnia. But since I started working on myself properly since about 2019, maybe, um, it's so much better. It doesn't really happen. Like I have some nights, yeah, where it's broken sleep or I'm tossing and turning or whatever. But at least I'm getting some sleep. Like where before, there were nights where I was like wide awake for the whole night.
Yeah, uninterrupted deep sleep is vital.
Yeah, oh, God, yeah. It's it's kind of funny. I get kind of mocked by my friends and stuff now because like I have this kind of nighttime routine that I try and do most nights. If I don't, it's not that if I don't get to do the routine tonight, which I probably won't tonight now because I'll be working until relatively late, but it's just a wind down time, like total wind down time, and like no stimulation from social media, or things like that. Like podcasts, yes, podcasts are fine because the stuff that I listen to is kind of low energy anyway, and it's kind of a lot of it is kind of self-improvement sort of stuff like that, or maybe sports related, or yeah, that type of thing. But I'm not listening to those like real high energy comedian podcasts. They just or the true crime thing. No.
I mean, Joe Rogan has some amazing guests on, and just the knowledge they have, and just it kind of turns your reality upside down. Some of the information they have, and like, oh, it's a mind fuck sometimes, and it just screws with your head.
Yeah, yeah, it does. And like you have to kind of bear in mind as well that, people, go on podcasts like Joe Rogan and stuff like that and like they're giving their perspective on something, but very often and I find this on loads of different podcasts, is where there's this just massive oversimplification of issues that are so multifactorial in their makeup. There is no way to truly understand it. Um,
Yeah. Plus clickbait stuff. No, it's dangerous. That stuff, some of that stuff's really dangerous. I mean, I want to be informed, I want to be knowledgeable about some stuff,
yeah.
but at the end of the day, what can I do about it?
Exactly it, though. That's exactly it. It's like, and that is the key. Like that is the key. It's like to anything that's kind of worrying you or causing you like stress or something, you have to ask yourself, like, can I do something about it? And if the answer is yes, then do it. And if the answer is no, then forget it. You know?
All right. So you were playing in bands on weekends, and your daughter arrives, and you're like, I can't do this. This is not the life for me. You definitely, obviously, have a passion for music. So you got into sound engineering, stressful as it may be, and you're still doing that. I think our paths
Yeah.
crossed when you did that electronic track that I had a blog at the time. I am not a musician, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I think I wrote a review on it, and then I think we've just been following each other online, right?
Yep. You saw me, Lucy, when no one else did.
I know what sounds good, mate.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that was my mental effector project. So that was my first kind of exploration of, having gained a few skills on recording and production and stuff, studying music technology. That was my first kind of creative, personal creative project, I suppose. So yeah, as you rightly said, it was kind of electronic in its style. So it was, you know, using samples from things sometimes, adding real instruments, playing stuff in, and yeah, it was all instrumental. Um, and I suppose I felt at the time that it was like these were demos. That's why like I only really put it on SoundCloud. Um, what I was kind of hoping for was that other people, like-minded people, would see it and go, oh, there's potential here. It's not the finished article. It's very green. It's very rough around the edges. But even looking back on it, like sometimes I'll go and listen to it. Just kind of put it on and see what kind of evaluate it now. And yeah, it is green. It is raw. They needed more development probably, but the vibe was there. Like what I was chasing was a feeling kind of a thing, and I think I did get that, even if it's incomplete. Um, so yeah, like the thing that I got from it, and that I still kind of chase, I guess, is um, I love like just spending like 5 hours where I've nothing on for the rest of the day or the night, and you just get completely lost in it. You're completely present. You're in flow state. Like I get into flow state really quickly. Yeah, and I love doing that. But I think as well, if I'm honest with myself, that maybe the reason I went down the electronic, kind of instrumental route so much was that I didn't have confidence in my voice, my singing voice, and definitely my ability to write lyrics. I totally resist doing it, or I have done. That's changing now though. That's changing. Recently I've started journaling every day. Um, and what that has done has allowed me to clarify my thoughts and my feelings on things. So I have found that from the journal entries that I have kind of hit on topics and like an angle on something, and that now I'm able to actually write songs, that are actually coming from a personal, meaningful place. And I don't care if anyone likes it or dislikes it or whatever. It's very much a personal expression thing. And I maybe wasn't coming at it that way before. I don't know. Maybe I was thinking like, how do I make this a career or something? Holding on to it too tightly, the expression of like hold on to something lightly. Um, like you can want things too much, like, and one of the kind of, I don't know, is it from Eastern philosophy or something? They say, imagine that what you want is something that is sand in your hand that you're holding. And if you hold it lightly, I'm just trying to show you my hands now for a visual. Uh, if you hold it lightly, it'll be fine. But if you squeeze too tight, the sand is just going to squeeze out through your fingers. Um, I was reminded of that actually at the weekend again, just to touch on sport again, because I am influenced by the psychology of top sports people and things like that. Watching Rory McIlroy at the Masters, I don't know if you're into it. He won the Masters, the US Masters at the weekend, and he's wanted this for so long. It was the one thing left that he wanted to win, and he definitely and he had loads of chances and opportunities to win it over the years, and the pressure got to him. Um, but and even the last day, he was in loads of positions to win it. Um, but he missed putts that he shouldn't have missed and things like that. He ultimately won it. But when he won it, he immediately like broke down into like convulsions, and I could recognize straight away like this is somebody who he wanted it too much all along, you know? And that's a thing that you have to kind of there's definitely now, I think, with a bit of life wisdom and stuff, that I think the trick is to just keep quietly moving towards what you want without completely obsessing about it. There's a balance to be struck.
Yeah, always be in action. Forget about the
Yes.
outcome.
Yeah.
And then there's an authenticity in that too, when you just I've actually read interviews with quite a few musicians who they say I don't write songs for my audience. I write songs for me, and if they like them, they like them. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah. And the best ones all do that. I know that now. Like if you're writing something because you want it to be like popular or you want people to like it or to be a hit, you're being influenced by so many different things that are not authentic, and you can smell them a mile away. When you come across that type of a artist or any creative who's doing it for the wrong reasons. You can see it a mile away. Um, we started a music venue in our community called Cool Street, and very briefly, how that came about was that actually one of my friends became Shane. He became the manager of the local amateur Gaelic football team, and he asked me to come in and kind of not so much to be a coach or anything like that, but just to be some sort of a helper, but also to video the games for them so that they could watch back and analyze the performance and it. But while doing that, I like had this epiphany about like local community and stuff like that, and the value of it. And then the idea kind of came with myself, my partner Marion, and a couple of friends to could we set up a music venue in Ardfert, in our little village, and could we bring like the best musical talent in Ireland to our village to perform in a very small room of 50 people? Um, and that was nearly 2 years ago now. And we've done it. And every gig, we run a gig generally about every 3 weeks. And it has been like on a spiritual level for me personally, for everyone involved in it, and people in the community who've come. I think it's been a huge value to people, you know. Um, One of the acts that we got was a girl called Molly O'Mahony. She's a singer songwriter, and we were just talking about, you know, writing songs from a very personal kind of perspective and stuff like that. And seeing her perform her songs, like it was like this huge light bulb moment, you know. She was singing deeply personal stuff, and I believed every word of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very inspiring in terms of, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to write songs that, actually mean something, and that I'm not writing them for other people. Although her songs are having an effect on people who are receptive to it. Yeah, I don't have her voice, don't have her guitar skills. Um, but maybe I can be as authentic as she is. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I saw some of those videos up on your website, Cool Street. It's spelled C-U-L.
See you, and that thing above the U is called a fada. So that's from the Irish language. So Cool Street was actually a street in Ardfert. Um, Earlier we talked about how, the history of the place is kind of just it's everywhere and it's everything all at the same time. But Cool Street was an actual street in Ardfert that existed up until around the time of the Irish potato famine in the 1840s. And the local landlord, who would have been a British plantation landlord, he completely destroyed the street. So the street would have been like mud huts where the local kind of, peasants lived or whatever. And he like just raised it to the ground to make room for his horses and stuff like that. So that street no longer exists, but it was important to us to kind of reclaim it. Now, I'm not going to lie, the fact that the word cool, means something else in English is actually quite useful as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. That venue looks amazing. It's wood. It's like wood everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, it's wood panels everywhere. And as I said, it's really small, 50 people in there. You can keep the volume, from a sound engineering, I do the sound for it. As well as like the curating and stuff. But you can keep the sound level really low, and that has an effect on how the performers actually deliver their performance. Um, and the people react to it totally different. Like there is no comparison between going to see a gig that's like 50 people in a small room to like whatever 5,000 or keep going. It's a different thing. Um, it's definitely a very can be, depending on the performer, can be a very spiritual experience, I think.
I think, yeah, I'm in agreement. I wouldn't say I'm very religious, but I've been to some gigs and I'm just like crying.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, music is church for me.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And as far as the big venues, yeah, those days are over.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
me, at least, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I'll still go to, these quote unquote legacy acts or whatever, because it's the only place you're going to get to see Blur or something like, the Oasis reunion. I was keeping an eye on it. They're playing Croke Park actually, that Gaelic athletic stadium that I was talking about, which is 82,000. So I don't know, when you have punters all over the pitch, I guess it'll be about 100,000 or more. Um, but yeah, like if a ticket had kind of been easy to come by at the right price, I would have done it. But the
What were the prices?
400 and up, I think, euro, which is pretty much the same as a dollar these days, I think. Yeah, just no. I was like, no, 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 that's fine. That's fine. I can
Yeah.
I can leave that one off.
I love it when artists have hit huge in Europe and they have yet to make it in America and I get to see them.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So do you obviously still keep an eye on the whole European scene? Well, the UK scene really, because that's where most
I
of it's
don't
coming.
get paid anymore to write reviews or find unsigned talent, but when time allows, I'll comb through a plethora of tracks on SoundCloud.
Okay. It's kind of mad at the moment. I guess since social media's come in, it feels like the music industry is really fragmented and that like there's these artists who um I've never heard of and they could sell out the biggest venues in Ireland. And they're from England, America, whatever, and they have this huge social media kind of following. They maybe aren't even getting played on the radio because it's not quite radio friendly, but yeah, I find that fascinating, that whole thing that like the music industry is so it does a really bad job of managing itself, I would say. What is missing now that we did have in the past was curation of all the music that's out there. Um, I know I stopped following all the music blogs in one day, sometime in 2015, I think it was. It was in the run up to the Hillary Trump election, and they all became totally political, all of them. And I remember them putting out statements as well saying that, look, we're going to now kind of elevate certain voices based on certain criteria. And that to me was just like, no, there's one criteria and that's the songs or the music. That's all I'm interested in. I don't
Yeah.
I don't care. Like maybe I'll look into your personal life later if your art is good and interesting enough. But what they were very open about this at the time. I remember the blogs in Ireland kind of following suit then as well and issuing statements that this is how we're going to be evaluating the music. The voices that we push will be voices that we want to push for particular reasons. And I just went to all of those pages that I was following and just went, okay, unfollow. And I've never, I've never followed them again. So when I say there's a lack of curation, maybe that's my own fault. But I still feel that though. I still feel that there's a lack of curation where, TV and radio were just, obviously they had a lot of power, but there were really good music radio presenters who would, you know, trawl through the all the stuff and find, not all the good stuff, but they'd find some good stuff for you. Whereas now the yardstick is how many followers they have on, Instagram and things like that and
Yeah.
TikTok and whatever. And that to me is just totally irrelevant.
Yeah, young audiences have changed the way we in which they consume music, TikTok, the dances, different people dancing to a certain tune and it's just shared over and over again. Is the future of music industry social media first? Yeah, I've heard musicians say they're spending more time on social media than actually making music.
Yeah, exactly. And even like I love Glastonbury weekend. I like myself and Marion love. We hook up the sound system to the TV and we watch as much of it as we possibly can. I've noticed that even what they choose to show on the BBC now there'll be some artist who, like you just said, is somebody who's Instagram famous or TikTok famous, and they've got one song that was this one hit or whatever, and they're going to show their performance, and it's like, I don't know. Does anyone who's sitting down to watch Glastonbury for the weekend actually care about that? Do you know? With the kind of arrival of, the digital platform, like video games navigated it, the movie industry navigated it, but I don't know that the music industry did properly. I think that if you make a movie, you sell it to Netflix or whatever, you get paid. You get paid for your work. You make a video game and whatever, you get paid. It goes through, what's it called? Is it Steam or whatever? I don't know. But if you make an album and you put it on a streaming platform, you essentially get nothing. Like, unless you're one of the major acts with clout, you're going to get some sort of money, but to the average person, and I just don't think that's right. Um, what the solution is, I'm not sure, but what one kind of solution or potential one is that, like, let's just say I've got my Spotify subscription, right? And for this month, I pay monthly, and this month I happened to I only listened to Phoebe Bridgers. I was in a Phoebe Bridgers mood, so I just listened to her, right? And I think my 100% of my fee then should go, after they take out their Spotify, take their little cut or whatever, should go directly to that artist rather than my monthly subscription going into the big pot, which then goes, to Jay-Z and Beyonce, and I don't listen to them. I don't know. It seems doable. Either that or some sort of new model whereby, I don't know, when you pay your subscription, you get kind of some sort of credits that maybe you're limited. Maybe you're limited in how much you can listen to. Um, but like that more would go to the artist somehow. I don't know. Somebody needs to figure this out though, because I know somebody who's recording an album at the minute, and they're a solo act. They have to pay the rest of the musicians, the drummer and the bass player and whatever else. They have to pay for the studio time and the producer, um, artwork, all this kind of stuff. And it came to about 35,000 euro. Now that was, I think, for 2 weeks work, that was a week of rehearsal and a week in the studio. Like, how are you going to get that back? You know? Yeah, especially if you don't, there's no way of getting any money back for making an album, and that situation needs to change. I don't know. I often think about, in the Renaissance and stuff like that, when you had like the Medicis and families like that who were, these patrons. Um, and if there was a way, through tax breaks or something that corporations could give money for this kind of thing to artists and, I don't know, write it off against tax or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I like your thinking. How about all these tech billionaires? We should require them to give back to the arts, like a certain percent of their annual income. Yeah.
I think music is the most kind of mystical of all the art forms, to be honest. What's my reasoning for that? Let's just say it's instrumental music. Like, why can a bunch of frequencies played at a certain rhythm, you know, um, why can that affect you so deeply? Like, it's definitely something deeper. Like the written word, can hit you over the head. This is how I feel. This is how I want you to feel. Same with a movie, and I love them. I love movies, but yeah, like when
Mm.
you listen to instrumental music and people can have a shared reaction to it, even across cultures, um, that's fascinating. Like, what is going on there? The man doesn't want us to have these shared experiences.
The man.
Yeah, safety in numbers, they don't want that.
How big's your town. Do you call
We
it a
call it a
town
village.
or?
We call it a village. So there's a town then 5 miles away called Tralee, and that's what we call town. And this is the village of Ardfert.
So
So
can you bike around your town or your village in like, 40 minutes?
oh, less. Yeah, yeah. Probably 20 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. And you could be at the beach in 20 minutes on your bike as well.
Oh, it just sounds so wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. Especially like during COVID and stuff. It was like to be here. Like my sister was living in Dublin at the time, and the difference in her life at the time and ours was just, night and day. Um, no, great. The outdoors is great, and we have it all here.
Do you have mushrooms growing all over? I just picture loads of
At certain
mushrooms.
times of the year, yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to grow some oyster mushrooms unsuccessfully so far. I've got a mate in Seattle who's a mycologist. It's just the study of mushrooms that just fascinates me.
I remember going into the fields in the autumn in particular and getting mushrooms. It's not something I've done for a long time now. I don't know. I think maybe the use of pesticides and stuff has probably damaged the mycelial networks and stuff like that, so they're not as prevalent as you would have seen before. But yeah, yeah, and the magic variety grow around here too.
Do they?
Yeah, the milky caps. Yeah, you'll get them
Mm.
kind of in the. I don't know. They seem to like wherever there's sheep. If there's sheep, is it their droppings or whatever? I don't know, but you'll often find them there if you're into that kind of thing. I've never done it.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm into any of that. I haven't even, like last night I had 2 beers and I felt like I'd been out in the lash.
Yeah, so right when I like from the ages of 16, like a typical Irish person, I started drinking at 16, and like it becomes this like there's a strong culture of it in Ireland. It's a subculture, like drinking. Um, so from like 16 to about 21, I would say, I was like every weekend, Friday, Saturday, all day Sunday. That was it. But I just pretty much stopped. Like I'll still have a beer like that now, one or two, like you just said there. Every so often, I'll go for a Guinness or whatever. Um, but I find if I have two or more, my sleep's going to be affected.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm kind of it's hit me too much, and it's like the kind of it kind of undoes the good of the evening before or whatever. So I very rarely now have any alcohol at all, to be honest. On the rare occasion that I do, I enjoy myself, but I take it easy, I know when to stop. Whereas, yeah, most young Irish people do not know when to stop. They stop when they fall down and are incapacitated or whatever. Like that is a cliche about the Irish. It's absolutely true. Like I don't care what anyone says. We do way too much drinking, like way too much. And we pressurize people into it too. If you say, I'm not drinking, it's like, why not? What's wrong with you? What's the problem? Um, yeah, maybe that's changing too with the younger crowd. I don't know. I don't know.
I just saw something you uploaded. Um, Maybe you composed the music, but it had this really cool Volkswagen bus.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So
Is
yeah,
that your bus?
no, 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 no. So the video. Okay, so that's a track that one of my mental effector tracks from way back 2011, 2012, something like that. Um, but the video. Some guy in America on YouTube had this old Super 8 footage of a surfing trip from his dad or whatever, and I asked him, "Is it okay if I take it and kind of chop it up and use it to kind of put to my music?" And he was like, "Yeah, fine, work away, no problem." I just came across it on my laptop or a hard drive or something the other day, and I was like, "Oh, I forgot about that," so I just stick it up.
Okay, we're coming to the end of our chat. I ask all my guests this question: what's moving you lately? What have you heard that has moved you?
Mostly Irish artists, actually, because I feel that I can relate to them the most at the moment with the way the world is. And generally, Irish artists of a certain age as well, like if they're very young, they're just so different to us, they're just totally different. Like they grew up with You know, like even though I'm technically a millennial, I was very much a Gen Xer because in Ireland we were at least 10 years behind the rest of the world. Do you know what I mean? We were getting music and culture way after everyone else. Um, so yeah, so I consider myself a Gen Xer for that reason. But yeah, the what's the latest one? Gen Z, is it? Yeah. Um, they just had a like totally different school experience, life experience, growing up with access to the internet and culture instantly, you know. Um, so for that reason, you know, with a lot of the younger artists, I'm kind of like, I go, I see potential, you know, they seem like they're being authentic, but I can't relate to it, you know. Um, I don't know. I suppose I mentioned her already, but Molly O'Mahony is like, I just think what she's doing is incredible. It's just so powerful, so authentic, and that's what I'm looking for. You know, um, that's what I'm looking for is authenticity, and I've really gotten into Irish traditional music in the last 10 years as well. Again, because it's just the rich kind of historical culture of it and all the rest of it. It has to be in our DNA. Do you know what I mean? I didn't really grow up around it that much. Like my sister played concertina and that kind of thing, but you know, the people who really come from the traditional music, Irish music areas, like they're like steeped in it night and day, and it's a different thing. So I'm slightly removed from it, but I have
Yeah, it's in your blood.
a really strong appreciation for it now.
I really loved chatting to you today, Mikey. Thanks so much for your time.
It was great to actually finally speak to you after being connected for like what, 12 years, is it? More?
Yeah, you're your own worst critic. I can tell.
Yeah. I am. I am.
Hey, I think we all are to a certain degree, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I think if you're not, it's going to be coming out negatively, physically or mentally or something. Do you know what I mean? You sick or some fucking thing.
Mad respect for you being there for your daughter. That's honorable. That was, you were young
Yeah.
too. So you made decisions to be in her life, and you say you got a great relationship still. That's wonderful. That actually, oh, look, I'm like getting teary eyed.
Yeah. Well, it's been a positive for me as well, you know. That was the thing that I didn't see when I was, you know, waiting for her to be born was, you know, I didn't see that like of all the good that it would do me.
Yeah, it works out like that sometimes. Thank you so much.
No problem, Lucy.